welcome to Sunrise Extra on this Tuesday morning. Thank you for watching. We are talking about a big story that was, I think, one of our top stories last night, which was the Salem City Council passed the first phase of a ban on tent camping and structure camping on public sidewalks. So they voted yes to ban that. There will be a second vote next month in December. And if that second vote passes, it would go into effect immediately.
Yeah, people were hot last night on both sides of it. You know, there was a older woman, a senior citizen, and she said, you know, nobody should have to, like, she's a business owner, go out and clean up other people's, you know, bathroom waste. Exactly. Right. And then there were other people who called it immoral and you know, not decent that we were pulling all these people off the street when they had nowhere to go.
Right. And there was a lot of homeless advocates there. Yep. There was some wording in the original proposal that had said that that would have allowed
people not to sit on the sidewalk during the day.
Or lay on the sidewalk during the day. That was cut out, and they voted no on that part. And now they do have this preliminary ban on camping. So we asked on social media this morning, should other cities follow suit and ban tent camping? Because this is, I mean, this is a West Coast problem all across.
People that are watching right now, it's all yeses. Yes to the question. Should we be banning tent camping on city sidewalks? Sheila says yes. Rebecca, yes. Dina, yes. Vincente, yes. Kristen, yes. I'm going to keep going down the line. Melissa, yes. So good morning to everyone who's watching us right now. We just shouted out many of your names. Mike with a yes. Pat with a simple good morning. Good morning to you, Pat. Good morning.
So I printed. Go ahead, Brenda.
Did you say Melissa? I'm looking at a different Melissa, perhaps.
Okay.
She said, should people just freeze? These people are so heartless and cruel.
So she didn't. Maybe she didn't understand the way the question was asked. Then
I think it sounds like she's in favor of not banning.
Right. I agree with you when you read her further comment, but she, you know, she answered with a yes and then said what you just said. You're right.
But part of the conversation is, and we've done stories on this, is that you can't speak for all cities, but at least for some of them, the city leaders will tell you they have the shelter beds. And some of the people on the street say, no, I don't want to be in your shelter bed where it's warm. I want to be here on the street. So you know, the comment that we just had makes me, reminds me of the fact that in some cases these people have been given a place and maybe even a way to get to a shelter, and they have said no.
Okay, but I think it's important to say, I do think it's important to say, because I have talked to a few of the agencies here, because I used to live downtown, so I was really interested in what a workable solution is, because we do not have one. But I do think that's a bit of a mischaracterization. Now, correct me if I'm wrong.
That's a quote, basically, from some of these people saying there are some.
It's not the majority. It is not the majority, and it may be. But you throw it out there like that is a kind of a generalization.
Well, let me back up. I have been told by some people, county commissioners, that have said that basically, no, there are places for every single one of them. That maybe, I don't know if that's right or not, but I've been told that's the case. That there are absolutely places.
For everybody, I would be surprised if that were true. And the stories
that when we did as a news department, one of the things that came out of Maggie Vespa and Kyle's story they did on the homeless special, it seemed like a fairly significant population of people said, we don't want to go to shelter. Shelters have rules. We don't want that. We'd rather be on our own where we want to be.
And there is that.
And sometimes
I would argue that's not.
Yeah, it's a matter of wanting your own personal space, and you lose that. You know, even if it's if your personal space.
Well, a lot of people have PTSD or anxiety, and so if they're around in crowded places, if you have a dog or a pet, a lot of the shelters won't let you in. If you choose to do drugs and you want to do drugs, you obviously can't go in, and so people, those people.
Some shelters separate men and women, so you can't go with your partner.
Yeah, there's a lot of conditions, and this vote came really after a big 60-person homeless camp sprung up in downtown Salem near one of their social services providers, similar to what we see on West Burnside in downtown Portland, or right here by our station where some of these churches are helping people out, and you see the tents lined up. And they've been doing a lot more sweeps across the Salem area, and so people, are finding tents and just putting them up where they can. This only applies to public sidewalks, per se, because of ADA restrictions, and you just have to be able to walk down the city sidewalk without
But the homeless people are infringing on other people's rights as well, right? For camping in business doorways, and so it's not working for everybody, or anybody I should say. It's not working for anybody. And it's such a piecemeal band-aid, though. That's the problem. It's like, what do you do with them? You shouldn't leave them there, right? Because that's a problem. But we need a bigger, nobody can agree on how we even start.
And I guess this is just the thing of, well, if we make this kind of a rule, then, you know, maybe it'll go elsewhere, you know, if they keep getting hounded and stuff by police, if they're in violation
somebody
of
else's
some
problem,
type of
which is not solving the problem.
Right.
Other people are going to hate that.
I'm trying to multitask, which you know I'm not the best
well.
at. But while I am listening to you, I'm also keeping an eye, because this is a hot topic, and a lot of people are chiming in with, you know, both sides of the argument, so to speak. Kelly says it's not just about tents. She says there are full-blown camping sites out there on the sidewalks, barbecues, office chairs, coolers lining the sidewalks. Again, that's viewer Kelly watching
And that would be banned according to this ordinance as well in Salem.
On the other side of the coin, Shirley Bird, good morning Shirley, she says she actually does street outreach. She says to the point about shelters, who they let in, who they don't, or the restrictions they may have, there are many reasons that people will not go to shelters. There are not enough low barrier shelters, as she describes them. She says people should not be forced to live by other people's rules. We all sort of live by other people's rules.
We all kind of live by other people's rules. I can only drive so fast in my car, or I get a ticket. That's called life.
Yes.
Hey, and we are watching you guys on YouTube and Twitter. I see you on YouTube. J.R. Raven says, good morning, KGW. I was homeless for a long time, and there are places, but most of them are not safe for many reasons. She says the rules didn't bother me. It was the fact that every time I went to a shelter, something got stolen. My life was threatened. My body was threatened. That's interesting. You'd think there'd be more, you know, staff and stuff. Somebody on Twitter, I'm watching Twitter, yes, says, Prank Files Pod says there needs to be help and places to live, but with freedom and privacy.
I mean, I'm not surprised by the last part, because I wouldn't think that those places are hugely staffed. I'm sure they don't have the budget for a big staff of
No, but you
people.
think you're in a building with other people, there's lights on. I mean, you think you'd be safer than in a tent on the street in the pitch black.
I don't think, you know, I guess, I definitely don't think it's safe on the street, that's for sure.
No, yeah.
So let's see, Sylvia says, yes, people need to be able to walk, so she's for the sweeps. And let's see.
Yeah, we had Latessa chiming in response to, I'm going to go back and get her name right. Shirley had the comment about, you know, people shouldn't be forced to live by other people's rules, speaking about the way some of the shelters are set up. And Latessa says that's what society is about, living by certain sets of rules.
And then Howie says, yes, it should be banned. It makes neighborhoods look terrible. And a lot of the people who live near them also don't feel safe. You know, just like the homeless people are talking about not feeling safe within that community, the neighbors are like, we've done stories on that as well, that there has been some crime.
And I guess it makes sense, getting back to what we were talking about. I think if you're going to strictly enforce sweeping, you do need to make sure as a community that there is a, I mean, reasonable, define reasonable, but I don't have another word to use, so I'll use reasonable. There are reasonable places for these people to be at night. And if that is the case, and the city believes that is firmly the case, and they have a way to transport people to said location, then I think that opens the door to maybe being a little more strict on keeping our public spaces, I'm going to say, clear.
We call it, you know, I guess I'm talking specifically about Portland, even though the story is dealing with Salem, but we often refer to it as a crisis, correct? How long would you say we have been in crisis mode when it comes to homelessness? Because I know going back at least to the year 2000, I was going to say 2006.
10 years is what I would say.
When I had family coming to town from Philadelphia, could not believe the amount of homeless people that were living on the streets here in Portland. That was like their major takeaway. Yes, this is a group of people from Philadelphia saying that about Portland. And so, you know, here we are 13 years later, and if they ask me, hey, how's it going with that situation there, I'd say it's no better. It's probably worse.
I think I lived downtown 2014, 15, somewhere in there. And by the time I left in 2016, I saw an even worse deterioration of the number of homeless men and women really right down there outside outside our windows. So it devolved quickly, and that was one of
From
the
14
reasons
to
that
16.
that I decided
That
to
was just our crazy
pack up and
housing
go.
boom. I think it
But
happened.
it would be interesting to compare our city to a city like Philadelphia, which is clearly a much larger metropolitan area. I'm assuming there are people that have drug issues, or I'm assuming there's some sort of affordable housing issue in Philadelphia. Maybe there's not, but I'm assuming there is. So if that's the case, what's different about Philadelphia than Portland? It'd be interesting to know.
I'd just be speculating at this point to try to
Yeah.
answer that question, obviously, but
And I will tell you from St. Louis and cities I know better, more well, I don't know where people go that have issues, but I will tell you other cities simply do not tolerate things on public spaces like we do here in the.
you know what happens too? I know, like in a city like Philadelphia, they will hide the issue, so to speak. You know, like they start with the center of downtown, and you know they kind of keep that area homeless free.
They sweep it, they
but if you
clean
go far enough out to the other parts of the city, you're going to run into that problem.
Yeah.
It's just that we have it right there in the middle of like our living room.
Yes.
You know, it is
Yeah.
right there in the center of the city, a most populated, traveled area.
Probably what it
Again,
is.
hiding the
probably what
problem
it is.
I know.
is stupid. How can that be a solution? So I'd be curious, and I know that there are people out there who've studied this. So I include myself in this. You know, you see a lot of stuff and you're like, my God, we got to do something about this. What is the cost of doing it up front, like building housing, or some kind of apartments, and what is the cost on the backside that I'm still paying for as a taxpayer if you, for emergency services and whatever else they need? I wonder what the price tag is to the
Well, there's
taxpayer.
that, but then I think there's also the part of you can't, I mean, are we going to start forcing people into state-run psychiatric care like we used to, you know, before the 80s when we got rid of those state hospitals?
I hear what you're saying. I'm not
But
certain
a lot
that
of a lot of the mentally ill people, you know, become homeless because you can't hold down a job. And
But
look
even
at what Utah has done. Right? The Utah, and I don't even remember the city in Utah, they have basically become one of the models for the country because they've built affordable housing and they've taken the people off the street first, and then they've addressed all those things that are important.
Yeah.
But a lot of the people who deal with that population do say that it's kind of a no strings attached thing. It's like, we're not going to tell you to get clean and sober and to take your whatever psychiatric medicine and then put you in housing.
True.
It's like we're going to get you housing and then we're going to take care
Right.
of that, because again, not my words, I don't work with them. They say it's easier to do it when there's a roof over your head.
Yeah, that's the stable piece of all that. Yeah.
Oh wait, I gotta say, how could I forget this? I'm looking at you talking. You do a lot of great work volunteering with William Temple House, which is a fantastic organization. Can
Thank you, Brenda.
talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we provide a lot of social services to people in need, houseless or otherwise. We have a food pantry, which is very popular. Clothing closet, we can help with utilities, maybe if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you know it's getting colder, so you just don't have quite enough to pay the heat bill this month, we help with that. So we provide a lot of different services to a lot of different people. So it's hard to narrow down what we do because there are so many people in need.
You would say primarily people that have some housing or people that have no housing? Or is it a mix, or how would you?
I think it's a mix, but truthfully, we, I think, help primarily people who already have housing, but just cannot
Trying
make
to hold on.
ends meet. Exactly.
right.
Yeah.
Could be at
You were
risk of
right on the
homelessness.
cusp of
Yep.
that. Yep.
Yeah.
There are so, I mean, the comments are pouring in this morning, and not just quick little one-liners. People have a lot to say about this issue on both sides. Lindsay is watching this morning. Lindsay Hatter. Good morning, Lindsay. She says she has a friend who was homeless on the East Coast. He said to her that people literally migrate to Oregon to be homeless because Oregonians give more and have less laws, according to our viewer this morning, Lindsay. And you know, we have all heard that before. I want to say, you know, people say that homeless come here because this is a better way of
And I
homeless
think
life,
that's
so to
why,
speak.
you know, some of these cities are like, okay, let's make an ordinance where, you know, it's not comfortable for you. You either
Well,
move on or like.
There are definitely cities in
Get
this
some
country,
help,
and the word is
'cause we have
tolerate,
it.
be it a good word or bad word,
Yeah.
but there are definitely cities back in the Midwest, they simply don't tolerate it.
Yeah.
And people realize it's not tolerated here, I got to go to a city where something is tolerated.
Is it that, or is it a lot of the weather? Sorry, Drew,
you're
because
fine.
I mean,
Yes.
in the
Also,
summer,
yes.
the Midwest
Well, I
is
think
fine,
both.
but then, you know,
I think both.
being houseless
But
out
there
there
are
is
definitely other cities I know for a fact where I'm from, in Missouri and Iowa, that just not tolerated. End of story.
Iowa's the middle of nowhere.
It's just not tolerated.
Krista Smith, we actually have someone watching this morning. Good morning, Krista Smith, who herself was homeless, no longer is. But she says, honestly, in her words, no excuse for living on the streets. She says she became homeless last year, but managed to get a job, got back on her feet, even with severe chronic health issues, because living in a tent for her was not an option. You have to help yourself, Krista says, to get help from others. Just do not give up.
Good for you. That's awesome.
It's good
I mean, that is hard work
to
do that. But I mean, she's speaking from experience. We are watching your comments on Twitter. Ron Man, who says, we all have rules to live by. The tents next to the bike paths in Southeast Portland is scary for all of us. So thank you guys for watching on Twitter. I want to, hey, Director Brian, do we have those sound bites from that story from last night's Salem? Okay, give him 30 seconds and he can pull those up. Because last night at that city council meeting, we heard from somebody who sounds like was
in favor
houseless
of the ban
himself.
Oh, yeah,
and has a very interesting perspective on it, just how kind of dehumanizing it is, of course, to be forced to live on the street and feel like you're in everyone's way, and then a woman who was a business owner, it sounded like, in downtown Salem. So roll that whenever he's always got it. Here it is.
No one should have to clean up somebody else's waste and trash every morning. No one should.
A lot of people don't realize how humiliating and how embarrassing it is to be sleeping on the streets at night, especially with people walking past you, looking down at you like, oh my God, is that gonna crawl up on me?
So yeah, so that's the perspective from both sides that we've heard from.
And I agree with both
totally.
sides.
Right? Isn't
That's
that
the thing.
Yeah,
both things
part.
are true.
So we're going to continue to talk about that because once again they did the first vote that they passed on banning tent camping and structure camping on public sidewalks. The next vote that would make it go into effect immediately is happening next month. So our second topic of the day, Thanksgiving travel. We did a poll asking you guys, is this weather going to be affecting your Thanksgiving plans? 86% of you saying no. That's a good thing. Rod and Lacey's got kind of your updates on the road. Rod, you take it from here on weather to start us off.
I mean, locally, it really isn't bad. It's late November and we have snow-covered Cascade passes. That's not exactly a breaking news headline, right? And the coast range is either going to get, like Highway 26, is either going to get maybe a dusting to 2 inches of snow or not see enough moisture to even produce that. So again, something to know about, but nothing that's going to prohibit you from getting to the beach or back and forth. The real bulls and the gorge is not really even expected to become bad. The big bullseye area is clearly down near and south of Eugene, where there could be serious snow cover develop later today into tonight across I-5 itself, and then they're still projecting about 20 inches over the Siskiyou Summit itself. Wow. You're looking at that cloud shield from the big low. Boy, that's an impressive looking storm. Wish it was going to do more for us, but it's not. Anyway, so the bullseye of that is still making its way down into southern Oregon, and that's where it's really going to be a mess.
What was perhaps more interesting for anyone who lives in the metro area was 4 days from now or 5 days from now, your Saturday-Sunday forecast. Because that seemed a little
concerning.
dicey.
So so we expect east winds to develop today, and then while the east winds aren't going to be just blowing everywhere, that east wind will be enough out of the gorge to keep the air dry enough, meaning the amount of water vapor, and that allows cold temperatures at night. So that pattern could stay in place all the way into Saturday and allow temperatures to be near freezing Saturday evening when our next batch of moisture comes in. And the forecast models, even that far out, they'll spit out a precip type. They'll go, oh, that's rain, that's snow, that's sleet, that's freezing rain. All the forecast models right now say that's freezing rain Saturday evening, night into Sunday morning, or at least some sort of an icy sleet mix.
I would much
so
rather have just plain old snow.
Okay, Lacey, I thought you were looking up like Google map trends on when is like the best time to go to the grocery store.
And which were like not very convenient times, right? Tonight at 10. And also the Google says the best time to leave for your Thanksgiving travels is 6 a.m. Wednesday. So again, not very convenient.
What about the liquor store time? I like the liquor store time. What time are we supposed to go to the liquor store?
9 o'clock tonight.
9 o'clock tonight, go to the liquor store. Everybody, let's do it.
I
So what are you kind of expecting for tonight, though? I mean, like for today's commute?
Today, well, it's usually Wednesday is the heaviest. So
Okay.
I think they said Wednesday night was, oh yes, there it is. So those are the kind of, if you need to get your errands done. But if you are traveling, tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. is the best. The worst time to leave was Wednesday afternoon.
Okay.
And then Google predicts that Friday morning will just be your average commute that we would see on any work day. And then Google says most people return home on Sunday.
I think Friday traffic, there's no school. It's got to be better than a typical Monday morning. Friday traffic.
Well, I'm sorry. Did I say Monday? Friday will be like any other Friday.
You did say. Oh.
But I'm saying Friday should be less. There's no kids in school. Typically,
True.
those
Fridays are
less
usually
days.
light anyway. So.
Well, Friday morning's pretty busy with all the Black Friday shoppers. I mean,
Shopping.
Well,
seriously.
maybe that's
that's
it.
true.
That swings the pendulum.
Well,
the
that's
other
why
way.
we're going to go and see family in Washington, and we decided not even to get in that mix Wednesday afternoon or evening.
Yeah.
We're just going to get up and drive a couple hours and
On
be there
Thursday?
on Thursday morning.
Okay.
Oh, on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving travel.
So, but when everyone comes home on Sunday, I mean, you were talking about freezing.
Well, that's something to watch. I mean, right now, there's obviously tons of time for this thing to change course or do something different.
Yeah.
But right now, I would think we would warm into the 40s during the day Sunday. So the problem would be
Okay.
primarily Saturday night, Sunday morning.
Okay.
Yeah. But it would be a good shot of snow again over the Cascades, making that difficult Sunday night for people coming that way, and maybe
active
over
week.
the Coast Range too.
Oh, boy.
Thanksgiving is almost here.
Yeah.
2 days, my friends, until Turkey Day.
And we're halfway through.
I'm
this
giving you
day.
a look, Nina. That look says we should
Wrap it
wrap
up?
this baby up.
All right, you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.